appreciate everybody coming today. What's nice about today for myself is this is my final appointment with regards to directors or chiefs, and that way we can move forward, especially with the budget process on the horizon. And I think the selection that I'll introduce in a moment is someone that I take great pride in, along with all my other appointments. But first, I'd be remiss if I didn't thank Acting Chief Mark Hart. If you'd come forward, I appreciate everything you've done.
Thank you, sir.
Mark's been here, I think, 23 years, is that correct? 22 years. Sure. And he's done a great job as Chief Fuston. Before him, his predecessor did a fabulous job with regards to the fire department. And then when he ended up retiring, Mark came and pretty much volunteered to step forward in a tough leadership role and making sure we had a smooth transition. And I appreciate everything you've done for the fire department, but most importantly for the city of Springfield.
Yes, sir.
So thank you very much.
Thank you for the honor of being able to do it and step forward for you. Thank you.
Thank you. And next, it gives me great pride to introduce the next chief for the Springfield Fire Department, and that's Barry Helmrichs. Barry's been with the department, I believe, since 1991. And the selection process, it was a long one. I had a similar process set in place that I did with the police, with the exception of public forums. What I put together was a panel of individuals from the outside, as well as the union president for the fire department, a retiree from the fire department, and then others that were involved with management or human resources or had some history with the fire department. And then they recommended from the applicants, we had 7 originally, and they narrowed it down, and I ended up interviewing 4 others, Bonnie Drew, my deputy mayor, as well as Jim Zirkle, the corporation counsel, and myself, interviewed those individuals and talked about and discussed it, but in the end it was my decision to make. And the reason I chose Barry Helmrichs is I knew him when I was treasurer, and he went through some tough times in a leadership role with the fire department. He was a short stint under the Davelin administration for about 10 months, and that's when we were going through some tough economic times. There's furlough days going on. He actually had to make the tough decision of temporarily closing a fire station and making sure that Springfield had the proper coverage with regards to fire, and he's done a phenomenal job at that point in time. But what he had not given the opportunity was to implement his plans, and that's why I wanted to give him the opportunity to do, is move the Springfield Fire Department, build on what Chief Fuston had done, make the appropriate changes to move us into the 21st century with regards to fire protection for all of Springfield. And that's what he'll be a great advocate. With regards to the other applicants, they were all quality individuals, but when the decision was made, is really Barry's history, his leadership style that I knew previously, making those tough decisions. That's when true leaders are born. Anybody can lead in good times, but it's when difficult times arise, that's when it's tough to lead. And he did a great job in seeing us through those difficult times, and I think he deserves the opportunity to move the fire department forward here to the foreseeable future of his choosing. So with that, I'll turn it over to the next fire chief, pending city council approval, of course, Barry Helmrichs.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Good morning. Thanks a lot. First, I'd like to thank the Honorable Mayor for this opportunity. This has been a goal, and you made it happen for me, and I really appreciate it. I appreciate this. And I'd like to thank my beautiful wife and my family, of course. They've been behind me. They've been a lot of support for me through this whole process, which it's been rather lengthy, but they've been a great support. And last but not least, I would love to thank the guys on the fire department. They've been behind me, and them being behind me is probably one of the most important factors of why I continued on to go to this position is their support of me, and I appreciate that more than they know. They're the finest firefighters in the world, I think, and they're great people too. I don't have much to say. I just want to say that we've had a great team, and we're going to continue that. We're going to strive every day to get better in the things we do and move forward every day, becoming a better fire department. And we're going to stay with our core mission, which has always been, to save lives and protect property of the people in our area. I mean, that will always be our main mission, is for us to protect the people in this community with our EMS work and our fire protection. We're going to look at all our divisions. I'm going to make sure that they have the resources that they need to continue to operate effectively and efficiently. We're going to look at how the place is run one more time. We're going to run the data. We've got some new initiatives we've talked about as a group, some new things that we're going to try, and we're going to see how they work. I mean, we're going to look at the data and make sure we're doing the right thing, because the fire department is a long-term goal. I mean, we're running a marathon here to get to the point where we want to be. I'm hoping our financial situation is a little bit better. It was an extremely tough time when I took over at that point. We were deficit with the city, and we were hurting. We were down on our manning was low, which was causing a lot of overtime cost. It was a very expensive. It was a very expensive time. It was tough times financially.
There has been talk for a number of years of the need for a new Southwest station. There's also been talk that always gets the neighborhoods upset about maybe closing or rearranging other stations. What's the status of that in your mind?
Oh, we're still studying some data. We're looking at all the data. I do that actually in my position now. I place engine houses at certain locations and calculate what the response times are and the amount of calls for service they would have in that area. I think that's still kind of up in the air. I'm not done with the total study. I was part of our original study Ludwig had done 3 years ago actually. It was 2012. But we're still looking at that. We got to look at all the data because we want to make the right decision. I mean, once we put it up, the firehouse is there for 50 years. So, like anything with the fire service, we got to make sure we're right.
Is there any kind of timetable on when there will be a new one? You think there should be a new one?
I don't know. That's some discussion that the mayor and I will have to have, obviously. He's the boss right here. Look at him.
And the city council, I know a couple items with regards to that is the 10th Street corridor. That would impact some of the stations, and the chief could speak to that in detail. But what we have to take a look at is where the future growth of our community is going. But the southwest part of town, of course, has always been a concern, and we want to make sure that we have the proper response times regardless of where you live. And that's what's important, and that's what we'll take a look at. And, of course, we can't do anything without the backing of the city council, so we'll have those discussions with the city council as well and move in the right direction for the citizens of Springfield.
Chief, where do you stand on the holiday pay issue that is right now being discussed by the Fire Protection Board?
I think they need to make the decision. The decision's not mine to make on that holiday pay. They're the authority that makes that decision. I mean, I'm not going to make a decision on that.
No opinion?
No opinion, really.
What's the status of equipment? Are there strong needs right now, and what comes next?
We've got some new equipment coming, but like any fire department, our engines are getting older, and they need to be replaced. And I know there's always budgetary constraints on that. I would like to see us get another one, but that matters with what kind of money's available, of course, always.
And what's the headcount of the department now?
220.
And is that where it should be? Or?
Yeah, we're actually 7 down at this point in time, but starting September.
I believe so.
Starting September, we're gonna start a class of 10 guys, which we're gonna have about 2 more retirees, we believe, by the end of the year, beginning of next year. We're going to start a class of 10 in September, which should get us back up to where we need to be.
And I don't know if this is ancient history, but Springfield used to take great pride in this Class 1 fire rating. And I think I'm not sure if it's Class 2 or 3.
We're 3.
Is it 3?
Yes.
What does that mean realistically to people, and does that make any difference at all?
Well, it does make some difference. And I think we need to take our class ratings seriously. I think that's a savings for everybody that lives here.
Are you hoping to change that?
Absolutely, absolutely. I want us to get us down to a 2 at least.
And how do you do that? Is that like more fire hydrants and more stations, or what does that mean?
Yeah, it has to do with our engine coverage mostly. I mean, we've made some adjustments since they were here in 2012. That put us at that rating. We've made some adjustments internally on the way we do business to get us that better rating. We think it's going to be a better rating. But we've got to do some things outside that area, I think. We're still studying to make sure we're doing the right thing.
And what's the timetable for that? Do they evaluate it each year? Or?
It used to be a long timetable, but it's much shorter now, and I really don't know the timetable.
Can you talk a little bit about the transition from interim chief Mark to you, what you guys are doing, what's been done already?
I need to thank him before I really go any further. Mark is, he's one of my best friends, period. okay? Him and I have been in concert the whole time he's been interim chief, too. I mean, we've been friends we went to high school together, okay? And when I was chief the first time, I brought him to the staff, and I was extremely ecstatic that he would do this, and he would stay and help, because he's a wealth of knowledge on all subjects. He really is. And I don't think there's going to be much of a transition, because we've been a team, I think, for a long time.
Chief, in your years, anybody you look back on, some of the chiefs, previous chiefs, anybody you say you could point out as an influence over the years?
Absolutely, and his son is standing right there. His dad, Chief Matt Helms, our training center is named after. He's a great fireman, a great person, and there's a lot to learn from him. He was our training chief, and he made a great impact on me. And that's his son right there, and he's a fantastic battalion chief and fireman before that.
Mayor, I'm a political guy. Did you take any role in the mayor's race? Were you for any?
Yeah, did you?
I tried to stay. Well, yeah, this is my guy. This is my guy. What do you want me to say at this point? Yeah,
A campaign kind of guy.
I would say no, because I've always wanted to achieve the level I can through my own efforts. I didn't want anybody to ever say, well, you did this or did that.
So you didn't get involved in the last race?
No, sir.
I'm glad he did.
Right now, we're operating under Mayor Houston's budget, and my budget will be next fiscal year, so we're trying to hold tight on things. That's why one of the reasons I said I would not create any new positions during my first term. I want to see where the budget is at the end of this year. CWLP is, separate from the corporate fund, but they have an impact on the corporate fund with the transfer of the so-called pilot, and that's something that we'll take a look at the end of the year. But right now we're being able to hold our own. And what's important about the class rating with regards to the fire department, that's the balance you have to strike, is what you should spend your money on, because we want to have the proper balance. We don't want to be out of whack where we're achieving something that's unattainable and spending money after it. But one of the things that I think will have an impact on the class rating would be Hunter Lake. So we want to make sure that we have an ample water supply, because you can't put out fires without water, and that's one of the reasons we're moving forward with Hunter Lake. That hadn't been said before. It's more for economic development, but also for that standpoint, that's one of the other reasons we're moving forward with Hunter Lake.
Do you think you'll otherwise be able to get him a lot of the things he says the department needs, like the new trucks and things like that?
Well, each department has a wish list, and I was the same when I was in banking and had my own budget. I always set it high, and then you have some middle ground after that. So I'm sure the chief's not going to be any different than anybody else.
Mayor,
right? Is that correct?
That's correct, Mayor. That is absolutely correct.
To either of you, what the diversity situation in the fire department, and any plans to make changes in that?
Go ahead. I'll let him answer first, and I'll throw my insights into it.
I think we need to look at some new avenues that we haven't used. I don't think we're getting our word out where we need to be to really get to the people that are around here. I mean, I'm an older guy, okay? I'm not a social media guy, but that's what we need to use. Learning from my son and stepdaughters and daughters, they don't even know what a newspaper is. I mean, seriously, that hurts, Bernie, doesn't it? I'm sorry about that. I didn't mean to beat you up, but they don't look at the newspaper, and they don't look at flyers. They're on Facebook or Twitter or Googling something. I think we really need to use those avenues to get going, and we need to probably build our partnerships, with the groups that are in town, and have them get good partnerships with
What the
them.
numbers are now? Diversity-wise on the department?
Oh, I have to look at percentage. I'm not going to spout it off the top of my head, because I should know that, but I apologize.
But it's not good enough. I know the numbers are low. And so we're going to take a look at the testing process. If it's not producing the results that we want, we'll take a look at that. But the other thing is, right now, I believe we send the test applicants over to Decatur to do testing there, and I think they pay a fee. That's something I prefer having here in Springfield, and taking a look at, if there's a fee that inhibits someone from taking the test, we need to take a look at it. So we're going to take a look at all avenues, as we should with all our hiring processes. It's what works, we keep going with that, but things that need to change, we need to change those.
How
How old are you? Are you close to retirement? How long?
I'm 55 years old. I'm 55.
I'm 55 too.
For what it's worth.
Do
Yeah.
you foresee yourself being in this position throughout mayor's, 4 years? Or?
Well, yeah, I think so.
So personally, I wouldn't mind if he ended up being the longest-serving chief. I think the other one was selected by my dad, but Barry has that opportunity to. That's been some of the hiccups with not only the fire department but police department or departments in general. You want that stability. If you have the right individual in place, you want to continue that positive growth. But of course, if you don't have that positive leadership, then you have to make a change. But hopefully, we'll move in the positive direction that I know Chief Helmerich will bring to the table, and hopefully for years to come.
I look forward to it.
Just a basic question, what do you love about firefighting after all these years?
Boy, that's a hard question because it's hard to define. I love everything about it. I love the excitement of it all. I mean, I haven't done it for a while. Okay, I haven't been on a piece of apparatus in a while. But I love the excitement of it all. I love the part where we're helping people, we're serving the community. I love the brotherhood that the fire department has. I mean, it's unlike any other job on earth. And your accomplishments are great. And there's bad times too, but that makes you strong. It makes everyone stronger in the end. It's just the whole thing. It's been the greatest thing that's ever happened to me, work-wise.
Just to
So you got that out right at the end. So over here, that's the one right there.
Just a quick question.
Chief?
We still have private ambulance services and the fire department first responder.
Absolutely.
Is it the way it is now, the way it should be?
We got to take a hard look at that, but I think so. I mean, we've got a lot of ambulances on the street, but we serve we're in a really good position to take care of people too. I mean, it's a pretty good cooperative effect that we have, a service.
And that's one of the areas that came up in the interview, and it was with not just the chief, but others as well. And that's something we'll take a look at, making sure that that's the right balance. We want to make sure that we don't impede on ambulance service, and because they transport where the fire department doesn't. So, that's what we want to do, is strike that right balance so we can protect and serve the community as far as that goes.
Thank you for coming. I appreciate it. Good yourself, man. Thank you very much. I look forward to it. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Marty. Thanks,
Mayor, good to see you.
You too. Thanks a lot.
Hey, thanks, Barry. Good job.
Corolla, good to see City Hall back in their hands.